What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another SBT playoff match. This is in the Rivals division. This is the finals versus Daniel and Exostomp. Um, it's finally the finals, and we're looking at two pretty good coaches that made it to the end. We got Team Daniel on one end again, and we have Exostomp, who has had a pretty fantastic run throughout playoffs. I know during regular season it was hit or miss, but he ended up making it. And then he had to go through a lot of strong coaches, Sun. He had to go through Leaf, and now that he's well, I think actually Daniel faced off against Leaf. Exostomp had to face off against Sai. But in any case, he did have to go through all those coaches just to get to the finals. So congratulations to these two. Of course, they automatically get the promotion, but only one will get the double promo. And we're going to find out who today. We're just looking at their teams here really quickly. As you can see, Daniel on one end has a pretty powerful Fairy Dragon Steel Core as his first three mons up there. Exostomp, of course, has a pretty nice defensive build along with Coco and the Alolan Raichu. And then he has things like Gliscor, Toxapex, Scizor, which is a very hard combination to break. And he also has strong wall breakers in Metacham and potentially Kyurem, which he can always bring offensive, honestly. So Exostomp's team has become very solid throughout the season. I know it was a bit different at the start of the season, where Daniel's team, I think it really hasn't changed much, but it didn't really need to. It has a lot of really strong components to it, and it's done well up to this point, made to the final. So let's look over the teams. When it comes to what I think they are probably going to bring, it's not too hard to decide what Exostomp wants to bring here, because his core honestly does really well against Daniel's. Daniel could bring a very defensive Togekiss, which I kind of have to expect. The thing is that Exostomp's Electric Core kind of defeats it. So Daniel needs a pivot, which is probably going to be the Mudsdale, if I had to guess. The other, again, the Shaman could also be a factor. Rotom and Nihilego, they also do just that, but it's really hard for them to pivot in, especially with them having no recovery. Scizor could be very especially defensive here. When it comes to what Daniel's offense is going to be, it might have to just be that Chandelure or the Latias. Scizor, I don't know if it could win late game just because of things like the Toxapex and the Scizor, who could potentially bring Fire Fang here. Yeah, it's a tough matchup for both of these coaches, but more so I think Exostomp has a really good lead matchup, in my opinion. He can freely lead with one of his walls or one of his wall breakers even. He does need to get that Toxicor buff on Gliscor. Latias could be more offensive here if it wants to. It outspeeds everything barring the Coco and then the Alolan Raichu later, but I don't see why it can't just be can't be offensive. Nihilego might just come, honestly. I don't see why it wouldn't. It could pack things like Psychic. It could honestly be Specs. Anyways, enough of what I think will come. Again, I said that Daniel really needs momentum on his side to get in his breakers, where Exostomp, his pivoting is kind of limited to just Incineroar, Scizor, Gliscor, Coco, but those are all really good pivots, and he has Pex, of course, to fall on in case he needs to pivot out. So he has a really good matchup in my opinion. Daniel really needs to build defensively here, and then perhaps have like a Shell Smash Blastoise to finish off the match. You could see it happening. It's just, again, the Toxapex really needs to be broken down, and things like Rotom could come. Latias is very much an option. I said we'll just see what they end up doing. Like Chandelure could be there as well. You know, so that Exostomp doesn't spam Medicham's fighting type stab, but we'll have to see. Let's jump into the matchup. They've already played, so I'm going to be commentating this post match. But as you can see here, with this finals match, Daniel versus Exostomp, Daniel did bring that in the Heligo. He brought the Latias, the Scizor, the Mega Scizor, the Mudsdale, the Chandelure, and the Blastoise. So he didn't end up bringing the Togekiss, which I find really interesting because you already know the Medicham is going to be packing Thunder Punch, so maybe that's why Daniel was just like, you know what, it's just better not to bring it. But I don't know. I think it's a valuable bring if anything. But Exostomp ends up bringing the Incineroar, the Coco. He doesn't bring the Raichu. He brings the Kyurem, Toxapex, Medicham, and his own Scizor. So he doesn't bring the Gliscor either, which makes things a little bit easier for Daniel, I'd have to say. But maybe Exostomp thought that there was no reason to bring it at this point. Considering things like Latias could have Ice Beam and whatnot, but I really think it would have been nice here, just offensively. We'll have to see though. Let's just get right into the match. I'm gonna turn the music off and have the match on slow, so I can commentate over their plays. But let's see what they end up leading here. So, Daniel and Exostomp, good luck to both coaches. Exostomp leads with his Pex, maybe to get off some spikes here, but looks like the Mudsdale leading in here and gets burnt turn 1 and goes for rocks. So that could be worth for Daniel, but getting burnt turn 1 is very unfortunate for him. We do see the knockoff. Of course, this thing's just getting buffs from each hit. But Burnt Earthquake is not going to be doing too much to a Toxapex. And he loses the Rindo Berry, so it could have been for Raichu. Of course, it could have been for Coco as well. This thing getting so weak. It could have Rest, honestly. We do see the Roar, so okay, I think Daniel's early game is to kind of just get chip on stuff, and I don't know if he wants to let this drop right here, but it does look like he stays in, so he does go for that body press. It does literally nothing to Pex, and we already know this thing has Black Sludge, not Rocky Helmet. This could be worth saving as a sack, but instead he just tries to get up some damage as Exostomp just goes for the skull. He could have recovered there, but maybe he was predicting a swap. So Daniel loses his Mudsdale. It would have been a nice check for Coco, honestly, but I guess he had other plans. In comes Latias, obviously, to revenge. He really hasn't gotten any kind of damage on Exostomp's team as of yet. That sort of looks super bulky. It does have leftovers. It could have been especially defensive, of course. In comes Daniel's own Scizor. We do save Roost. These two might be going for a U-turn on both ends here. We do see a Swords Dance. So knowing that the Gliscor did not come on Exostomp's side, it could be very worth just going for this early game, but instead Daniel decides to save it so that he doesn't take massive damage, and he did take a lot of damage, plus a crit from that Incineroar. Blastoise, it does look pretty bulky though. That was a crit. Did nothing to Toxapex, of course. Toxapex is going to be a huge problem to take down at this point. He only really has the Latias, and of course, we do see the knockoff. There goes the Yachi. So that was probably for the Kyurem or the Medicham, one of the two. But Pax could just stay in. He didn't even really have to swap. He predicting all of the stuff that Exostomp has in the back. Incineroar was easily a play that he could have made, but I guess Daniel was predicting something else. So we do see free momentum from Exostomp's end there, getting that U-turn off, and in comes the Incineroar. I don't know what Daniel's endgame is going to be here, but obviously going for free Flare Blitzes on anything would have been really nice. In fact, getting chip on this Blastoise really helps his cause as well. In comes Nihilego. This could be a Scald. To see another knockoff. Daniel really does not want his Blastoise knocked off, so it could be a Wider, but it could be anything. I don't know if we've seen an item yet. It looks like we haven't. There's a Scald. Really does nothing. Is this Assault Vest? No, it's not. It's just, that's just really weak. And we do see the leftovers on that as well. So there's another knockoff. Again, we did say that this this Toxapex was going to be a problem, and he's only really revealed 2 moves. So Daniel just has to kind of expend um, some resources to get rid of it. And we did see an acid spray, so it was trying to 1v1 the Toxapex. It's very nice, of course. This Scizor is just a menace to Daniel, in my opinion. He definitely goes for the roost here, and he does actually go for the bullet punch. So reading him to stay in, which of course is not too bad, but now letting this Scizor get kind of weak is a little bit of a problem if we do see Latias come in at some point. In comes the Incineroar, which can always come in on this Scizor. Like, even if Daniel wants to keep setting up, he's immediately forced out by the Incineroar, who keeps getting any kind of damage off he wants against Daniel's team. It really seems that Exostomp has the offensive pressure here. And we could see a flip here, but instead we do see a crit surf. Of course, Daniel's really not getting any kind of damage on his team. In comes the Latias. He needs to find some kind of niche to get in his offense, because we could see the Scizor drop finally, but we do see a Roost instead there, which is very unfortunate. But they could still have Mystical Fire to take down this thing. Oh, sorry, does it get Mystical Fire or it gets Aura Sphere? I know that, but we do see a Roost, of course. This Scizor is going to be here for a while, and Exostomp making the correct plays every time. There's a sub, so this could be Calm Mind, actually. Are we going to be seeing Calm Mind? Of course, this Pex could still have Haze. So there's a Fire Spin. So looking to destroy this Toxapex. Very nice play on Daniel's end there, because this means that he's willing to take his Chandelure down so that Pex can get removed. That's exactly what Daniel needs in the end game, because once this Toxapex is gone, he's freely able to bust out some kind of strategy that he's planning up. We do see another sub, and this is going to be sub protect for a while, just so that Pex can get a little bit weakened. Of course, this hasn't revealed recovery yet, but we probably know that it has it. Okay, so Daniel ends up just swapping out there. I don't know why, to be honest. I'm kind of curious on Daniel's endgame here. I don't know if he plans to win with Scizor. It does it has revealed its basically its entire moveset at this point. So, Alright, so we might be seeing a knockoff here. We see a Scald instead, doing 28%. So, unfortunately, I think Daniel's gonna lose this exchange, but he could protect here. He could sub. He should have done that like prior, but instead he took a lot more damage than he should have. Let's see what ends up happening here. He keeps swapping out, so that didn't really need to be sacked. So I'm not really understanding Daniel's process here. He's not getting any kind of damage off on Exostomp's team, and he brings in Scizor to Sand Tomb, which is a nice play. It does some damage there, and it's trapped. So Daniel could have done this with Scizor instead of having to just waste his Chandelure. And so we do see the setup, of course, and there's the recover. So very nice play on Daniel's part there. He predicted Exostomp not to throw away his Toxapex. This is going to get scary, but we do see the haze, of course. So very nice prep on Exostomp's part. Of course, it is still trapped, so we're going to be seeing a lot of scalds and hazing, and the match is just going to go nowhere for a little bit, only until Sand Tomb, is finished. Because once it is, Incineroar is still at a really high amount of HP, and that Sand Tomb did a lot of damage. So there's another haze. I don't know if another Sand Tomb takes it out, but with the oh, okay, so it's finished already. And there goes the regenerator. We're going to be seeing another Sand Tomb probably, which does some damage as a crit, and it's going to be trapped in the vortex. So we could U-turn out here. we just see another one, and rest. Very nice play. Unfortunately, um, for Daniel, that he has rest. The thing is that having rest on a Tapu Koko team is kind of, um, sus, but it definitely worked. And there's a knockoff. I don't think Daniel has the resources to break Exostomp's team and his core, like we said earlier. At this point in the match, at least, I don't know if this is Shell Smash or whatever. It looks like it is. And of course, Toxapex is just set out fodder for Blastoise, but I don't know. Is he able to? So I was thinking he was going to be Earthquake there, but there's the haze, of course, and this is just not a good time. There's a surf, we're doing minimal damage, recover. This Toxapex is just a pain in the ass for Daniel to beat. We haven't even seen like a Psychic or something, and of course it's because the Incineroar is still around as well. At this point in the match, I think I don't know how Daniel plans to beat this Toxapex plus the Incineroar. Um, Luckily, no burn on that last Scald there. We could be seeing like a Calm Mind. We could be seeing. We do see a Psychic, so of course, getting desperate at this point, just going for the straightforward move. Exostomp knows that he has resources in the back that he can pivot out into. There's a huge U-turn, and Exostomp could just bring in. He could bring anything. He could bring in the priority Medicham. He could bring in the Tapu Koko. And of course, that's going to be the match. If this thing has Fire Punch, that's just going to be the game. So I think that's going to be it for Exostomp versus Daniel. Unless Daniel could bring it back with this Scizor somehow. I don't know how he plans to beat you know like Scizor. Uh, mm, okay, so he got lucky there actually. Not bad, not bad. Not a 6-0 on Daniel's end. He's bringing it back with this with this Scizor. I don't know if Coco specs here or something. He's banded. Okay, so he's choice banded. There goes that Daniel's last hope, and that's going to be the game. So good game to both coaches. It was a 5-0 to Exostomp. Exostomp, congratulations for getting double promoted. And Daniel, of course, congratulations to getting promoted to Challengers, while Exostomp gets promoted to Guardians. And that's going to be the match, guys. Really interesting. Of course, like I said, Exostomp's team just had a lot of really strong cores. And the matchup was just not with Daniel this time around. So good game, guys, and stay tuned for another video.